Hello and welcome to another video. We're going to be talking about Docker again, and specifically we're talking about a line in a Dockerfile that every single Dockerfile should have. Well, unless your base, of course your base image could do this too, but every Docker image should have set this at some point in time. And I wanted to walk you through what problems arise because of this, how some programming languages have actually started trying to fix this, even if the system disagrees with it, and some other ways that try and solve this problem, but do a whole bunch of wasted work in order to get there. But anyway, let's jump into it. And I'll just tell you the line to get started with, and then we'll go through all the explanations after that. But let's say we have our good old Dockerfile. Doesn't really matter your base image. The line that you should be having in every single one of your Docker files is env lang equals C.UTF-8. Specifically, this line and this locale here. The TLDR of what this does is it tells the running system eventually that it should use the locale invariant locale, but in a UTF-8 enabled mode. Now you might ask, well, if you don't do this, then what's the problem exactly? And in order to demonstrate that, we're going to write a little C program. And we got to get locale.h and standard.io.h, and we are just going to print the default locale. Default locale %s, and you get that by doing set locale. It's lc all and then the empty string. Good old return 0. And if we compile that, we run this, you'll see that the default locale. I don't know why mine is set Canada. I'm in the US, but the default locale on my machine is enca UTF-8, and you'll see that that actually comes from the lang environment variable, and so that is getting passed along here. However, if lang is not set, which is the default for almost every Docker image that you'll find on the internet, if lang is not set, you'll get a default C locale. And not only is this a C locale, but it's a C locale that does not have UTF-8 enabled. And so you tend to only be able to work in 7-bit ASCII. Now, this mostly has an effect in programming languages that interpret this and then provide both a text and a bytes type. Python is specifically one of those. And if you were to lang equals, and well, Python now has UTF-8 mode, and I don't have an old enough Python that doesn't have UTF-8 mode, so lang doesn't really affect it that much. But if we were to run a really old Python, rmti ubuntu, I think trusty shipped with 3.4. Yeah, so you'll see here there's no lang, and if we do Python 3 and do import locale, and then locale.get locale, get preferred encoding, you'll see that it is defaulted to this weird string, ANSI X 3.4-1968. This happens to be an alias for ASCII. If we do import encodings, dot, what is it? Lookup or something like that? What is the... I don't remember how it works. Normalize encoding. Sure, that sounds like one. This should give us not that. Oh, it's codecs, not encodings. Codecs.codec. This should give us... Oh my goodness, what is the function called? Lookup. Oh, it is lookup. Okay. You'll see we get the encoding for ASCII. So this is a fancy name for ASCII. Sorry about all the bumbling around to get there. And generally, you don't want your program to default to something that isn't going to support Unicode. So for instance, if we try and print our snowman here, we're going to get a crash. This, of course, is not a problem anymore in modern Python, because modern Python enables UTF-8 mode when it doesn't find a locale on Linux environments. So you don't have the same problem. But other programming languages and other pieces of software that look at locale, specifically C locale, are going to have problems here. Okay, so we showed the problem. We've showed what empty lang does. And of course, we've shown what happens if I have lang set to this value. What happens if we were to, let's see if this is even going to work. Let's see what happens if we have no locale. Not a directory. Oh. My bin, of course. Oh, we have 2 new GCC. All right, we'll do Jammy here. So if we run mybin inside of a normal Docker container, you'll see that we're going to get a default locale of C. But if we were to export lang equals C.UTF-8, which is what that env statement is going to do for us, you'll see that we now have a UTF enabled but C locale here. Okay, cool. I also mentioned that there are some sort of wrong ways to solve this, and I have not to pick on this particular Dockerfile in general. I just happened to search on SourceGraph for Dockerfiles containing localgen, since they're all pretty much doing it wrong. This is a pretty easy thing that you can check yourself. You'll notice here that they are specifically sending this UTF-8 thing into etc localgen, then executing localgen, and then putting this into default locale. And if we take our Dockerfile here and instead do that, yeah, should do that. Docker build -t test dot, and we got an error because we don't have localgen. So we're going to have to install localgen. Oops, dpackage-s, which localgen comes from locales. So then we would have to run apt-get update and apt-get install y no install recommends locales apt-clean backslashes. So then we'd have to build this, and we'd have to install a package, and then we'd have to run localgen, and that would have to generate our locales, and then we would have to set a default locale. Oh boy, invalid operation. What was the one? Anyway, it failed here. The point is, you have to install the locales package, which it itself is fairly hefty for if you're trying to aim for a minimal image, and you have to run localgen, and then you have to pick a specific locale, in this case, like English US. The advantage that C.UTF-8 has over all of this is it's basically the same as English US. I think all of the code points match, and it's chosen as the invariant language. But you don't have to install a package, and you don't have to run localgen, and you don't have to bloat your image with a bunch of stuff that you're not going to use. For instance, all the other locales. So generally, avoid all this junk and just do env lang equals C.UTF-8. Anyway, that's my video for today. Hopefully you found this useful. If there are additional things you would like me to explain, leave a comment below or reach out to me on the various platforms. But thank you all for watching, and I will see you in the next one.